Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time doing another Halloween film review, and this one is on the 2010 Lovecraftian horror film YellowBrickRoad. Now, as you know, YellowBrickRoad was a 2010 horror film, and after watching Ryan Hollinger's review on it, I personally found a copy at CEX, took it back with me home, waited until October came, and after sitting down to watch it, I can definitely see where it's going to be Wizard of Oz, but doing it in a style of not only Lovecraftian, but also mixing the Blair Witch Project. The premise of the film is meant to follow basically Teddy, who is obviously meant to be this guy who wants to learn more about what happened during the 1940s, where a group of people from the town ended up being obsessed with the Wizard of Oz, and no one understood why. Until the townspeople disappeared one day, their bodies were never recovered. And some had either frozen to death, some had either died in horrible ways. And we do kind of see how Teddy Barnes and his and his and his team of basically co-authors, cart gophers, and all that are trying to find out what really happened. So, of course, throughout the film, we see how Teddy and his wife Melissa journey out with their crew to go through what really happened during the events of the 1940s and how the townspeople disappeared after watching Wizard of Oz. And the best way I would see the film's message is about obsession, needing to find what's beyond basically where you're from, and being careful about not being too adventurous. And I do see it in a way being a darker version of the Wizard of Oz, like obviously Teddy Barnes being like Dorothy Gale. Like Dorothy Gale wants to find something over the rainbow, but of course had to see the consequences the hard way. And yeah, you do get a sense that obviously the people in Teddy's life are obviously meant to be characters similar to the Wizard of Oz, because obviously, yeah, the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man are obviously meant to be those sort of duo trying to kind of work together to help Dorothy. But of course, their antics and that at times can make it difficult. And they do make it clear that characters like Daryl, Melissa, Ian, also Jill, and all that do make it a lot harder. And when you actually do have one of the locals live, I do see her a bit like Professor Marvelous, trying to make herself sound like she had some importance in this small additional town. I do see her also trying to make it seem like she knows her way about this town. But of course, much like Professor Marvel, she ends up getting exposed. She ends up damaging people's trusts, find it hard to see her in a positive light. And I give the film credit is how it goes a little lighter, it goes safer, but when it goes into serious territory, we get a sense that these are characters having to deal with situations that they didn't ask. They end up getting worse and worse. They end up kind of fighting against each other. And I think it's also interesting how it's kind of implied at the end that not only is the usher who's meant to show up at the end meant to kind of be this entity testing them and see who's the last one standing. His character is obviously meant to be a mix of the Wicked Witch of the West, but also the Wizard of Oz, testing the people, see if they are worthy. And yeah, it's actually interesting how one of the cast members, Cassidy Freeman, who played Tess in Smallville, and yeah, her brother being a sort of anime voice actor, Caspin Freeman, actually played in this. And you can kind of get a sense that, yeah, obviously because of working on Smallville and trying to make a little bit of money as well, I can see where Cassie was probably trying to make a bigger name for herself with something small and similar. But I think, to me at least, Yellow Brick Road is an interesting idea. It's going darker in some places. It obviously knows it can't really be something completely, obviously too similar from Blair Witch in that. It's obviously going with a darker take on the Wizard of Oz film, but mixing H.P. Lovecraft with the world of with the world of Dorothy Gale and her friends. So I think it definitely deserves a thumbs in the middle. It's not the best, not the greatest, but it has an interesting film idea. So, Comic Viewer here, signing out.